going to wipe in.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ben. I run Pacing Agency with my business partner Cam. Yeah, big thanks to Chris and Carly from Webflow for having us. Apologies though, because I haven't quite made this exact, this talk. It's kind of, I'm kind of glad I rewrote it a little bit so we can have a bit more of a kind of like a interesting session, a bit more playful. But this is essentially kind of a love letter to procrastination. And it's kind of all the things I've built to avoid making this presentation, including this presentation. So yeah, the first thing I procrastinated on instead of working on this was a cursor version of my own brain. I'd been meaning to do this for a while. I'm sure you've all been on LinkedIn lately and seen a million posts where it's kind of comment below to get sent the lead deck. So I'm not going to bother with anything like that. But I kind of was really struggling with with the AI to kind of get the right context to create like a speech like this. Like I never found that AI was very good at making stuff that sounds particularly like me. So I got kind of deep into this. I pulled in all of Cam and I's WhatsApp chats. I got AI to go through all of them. I plugged in kind of, we were talking about MCP servers, but having an agency workplace where I can have an AI that can read my email, my calendar, my docs. It's kind of standard stuff, but I kind of went way too deep into this to the extent that sorry, 1 second there. I got to the stage where the talk is kind of creating itself, which I found quite funny, quite interesting. But to me, essentially, we've ended up with a working definition of procrastination. A little bit about Webflow and like what I've used it for and what I kind of started out doing. I started doing Webflow kind of 5-6 years ago, and in kind of like a really cursed workflow compared to nowadays is I used to use Webflow occasionally to build landing pages. This was one of my previous clients who were a game publisher, and I used to just be obsessed with the kind of made in Webflow section of the website. There were so many cool design examples and ways of building things. But yeah, incredibly cursed. I used to have to export the code from Webflow, build it into a PHP template, and then like put it on a WordPress site. And it was compared to nowadays where no one, I don't think anyone is kind of selling WordPress websites anymore. It was something that kind of I found Webflow really good for. More generally though, talking to clients, like for me, Webflow, I don't try not to get too attached and too loyal to any specific tool, because I think as kind of modern day web people, you've been hurt before and you're going to be hurt again. So I do really like Webflow, and I'll talk a little bit later on about maybe some of the things that are more specific about it. But for me, it's like stability. I have clients who, they pay me for a website and then they've not had to talk to me for 2 years. And it's not great when you're a web developer having clients who don't need to talk to you because stuff's not breaking too much. But it's been the main difference I've seen between kind of Webflow and WordPress. I kind of wrote that. I mean, if Webflow is going through some issues now with employees being fired, I don't want to make too many jokes about downtime and hosting issues, but I was going to make a kind of a joke about that there. This is this is Cam and I. I'm the kind of tech and tracking guy. I worked in-house in marketing for like 5-6 years before starting my own agency 5 or 6 years ago. I've been working with Cam for 2 years on Pacing Agency. And my first job was just the other side of the roundabout. I worked at a company called Mind Candy. And I got a lot of experience early on in my career doing performance marketing, CRM marketing. And I then came to the website of things a bit later. And I think that gave me kind of a unique insight into like how to build websites for conversion and for kind of making money as opposed to just looking nice. I think something Webflow maybe in the earlier days struggled a little bit with was the idea of a brochure website that like looks nice but it just doesn't convert well, and it's something I always have to kind of challenge clients on quite a lot. Yeah, Cam's run 17,000 kilometers on Strava. He forces me to go on runs at lunchtime, but yeah, we have fun and we're good team. Moving on. Also, people hire us as like an external marketing team, and it's kind of when they want, they need a whole marketing team that's 10, 20 people, but they really only want to pay for 2 people. So then they call us, and then we do the work for them. The reason I sorry, I went one slide too far. The reason we kind of shifted into this more kind of paid marketing side of things is I found the kind of commodification of web design. Yeah, I found the kind of commodification of web design has been quite hard in the past couple of years. And being able to go to companies and explain to them how I'm going to make them money as opposed to presenting them with a big kind of hefty bill for a new website, it's been something that we've been shifting over the last few years to try and make the most of those marketing skills that we had before getting into web design, and to really kind of connect the dots there a bit more. So yeah, Carly has kind of talked to you about AI, like who AI sends to your site, or what, how you can manage non-human visitors coming to your site. We're focusing a bit more on how you can track and manage the real people who do show up. So I'll give it kind of a top level of how we look at tracking, and then maybe a few client examples and a few things that we've built. So I don't know why this is doing this, but traditionally, you'd be in the early days of marketing online. Like I used to sell in my first job personalized pet books. It was an insane concept where you'd put like a digital version of your pet in like a personalized storybook, and it would like generate like a 20-page story. And you'd think that people aren't buying these, but in 2018 for Bark Friday, not Black Friday, we were spending like 50K a day. It was insane, and you could make money on it back then. But now it's like, I don't know if anyone's worked with business owners and they've talked about their efforts with paid advertising, but it can be a lot more difficult. AI's definitely not made it easier, but equally, ad blockers cause big issues. Consent banners, often when people click reject on cookie banners, tools like GA will kind of model the data, which, if you're being charitable, means they're kind of giving you something instead of nothing, but equally it kind of means like making up data. And then there's this concept of third-party cookies. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but historically you want to install, you want to do a Facebook ads campaign, you'd install a pixel, you'd install a little bit of tracking code, and then essentially Meta would fire a third-party cookie that you've embedded on your website, their own bit of code, and then they would use that to track the people who are on the site. It's called a pixel because it would just load like a really small image, like a 1x1 pixel, and then based on that like unique pixel being loaded, the Meta would know potentially who is going to your website. The issue is that a lot of browsers now block third-party cookies, and advertisers aren't seeing like anywhere near as much data as they used to, which can make like running profitable kind of ad campaigns really difficult. So making decisions on partial data is something that we really try not to do. I think, again, looping back in with Carly's stuff, like having the data and having something to look at that you know is correct, it can really help you make those decisions that are going to make a difference for your business. Another thing that we really, I think there was, another thing we really like for ads and to make ads work for clients is kind of a virtuous kind of feedback loop, in that you decide who to show your ad to on an ad platform. It's quite interesting, like what kind of things you can target people on. I was going to go like a little bit deeper and maybe creep people out a bit on what kind of granularity is possible through ad targeting, but I didn't want to give anyone any sleepless nights. So the ad platform will send traffic to your website. You will then have some kind of conversion event. So I'll go through 2 different clients. We've got kind of like like lead gen clients who maybe are a bit more simple. I've got an example with a high-end therapist based in London. So their conversion might just be a lead form submission, or ultimately, obviously, someone booking therapy. Then feedback, this is kind of a step that's often overlooked, is you then want to send back to these ad platforms like what's working and what's not working, because the only way for them to to be able to optimize and give you like better people who are like are more interested in your business, who are more likely to purchase, is to tell them who did purchase and who who is a good customer. So for the therapist example, we might get 10 lead form submissions, but 5 of them were junk ones. We don't want to tell Google that this was a good lead. We want to pay for this kind of person because they weren't a very good person. And with some of the numbers that are involved in terms of like paying for clicks, it can kind of get a bit it's a bit hard to like look a customer in the eye and tell them you're wasting like $40 on a click for something that is then spam. So if you get all of this right, you start getting better traffic, you get better conversions, you get better feedback, the optimization gets better, and then that's when like paid can kind of work, and you can start having campaigns that have like actually good return on ad spends, which is what we're trying to do when we're making money for clients. So I think I kind of said this bit. When stuff goes wrong, like the budgets go to the wrong campaigns, Google learns from like random noise, and then like things start going a lot worse. It's kind of a virtuous cycle, I guess, with some of the AEO type stuff. If you start getting good signals, start getting like real people going to your website, their engagement times are up, their all the kind of signals that go back to Google, who is tracking all of the kind of stuff that third-party visitors are doing on your website. They'll start looking for the right things, and then you can fix that loop and like kind of reconnect it. This is like a slightly more technical bit, but like the way, I don't know if anyone's heard of server-side tracking, but like the way that we fix this kind of like issue is that instead of installing every single little bit of tracking code like one by one on your website, you create your own tracking server in the middle. So if so for ours, for example, it's data.pacingagency.com, let's say. And instead of installing all those bits of code, you send data to your tracking server, which then like kind of relays that on to the ad networks. And now saying it doesn't sound like this should be able to, be a thing that lets you circumvent, GDPR and kind of all of the ad privacy laws we've got at the moment. But this is kind of like the best practice kind of enterprise way of running campaigns that have proper tracking and proper like data visibility. The other concept that like is kind of interesting at this point is that is the kind of event generation. One sec. Yeah. So this is kind of like in a rough kind of line here, but for me, we've got lots of clients. I don't want to have to rebuild every part of this stack over and over again. And for us, a lot of clients are quite similar. So in the same way that we get really quick and efficient building websites, we want to get quick and efficient at like deploying the tech stack, the tracking setup. So for me, that means in Webflow, I've created kind of a system where, depending on how I name buttons, forms, as long as I name them consistently across projects, all of our kind of tracking stuff will work, which is quite good. We use Cloudflare to help with like bot prevention, and as much as like again, Carly was talking about like inviting bots to your website when it comes to ad traffic. If 60% or 40%, 30% of your traffic that you're paying for is potentially bots, it's going to really mess with your ability to make money for clients. So we often are going the opposite way, where potentially for organic pages, we might want to invite AI crawlers, but if we have paid landing pages, we most definitely do not want AI bots on the site, because they're not really going to buy and become a proper customer. We use Termly for consent management. We then have a web Google Tag Manager container, the server that I just mentioned for all of our tracking, and then we would plug in whatever ad networks that the client needs. And then like the interesting bit is that as you flow through from here into BigQuery, is that we're kind of the best practice way, again, for enterprise, and you might have heard of data warehouses, data lakes, but for us, what that means is generating a flow of events for the website. So, sorry, I don't want to back too many.
Ben, just a heads up, there's 5 minutes.
Oh shit.
You can probably go over a little bit, but
yeah, let's go forward a bit. Okay, let's go forward. So let's look at one in a bit more practice. Oh no. What happened there? Oh, am I back?
hang on, let's just start that one. There we go, plug that one in. Hopefully it comes to life.
Hey.
There we go.
Okay. So for a therapy client, instead of what we want is to generate like a stream of events every time someone clicks a button, every time someone fills in a form, all these events. And I think one of the key differences is like with something like GA. I don't know if anyone as a web developer has tried to go into Google Analytics. It's horrible. You can't tell what's going on. You're like, who are these people? Like, it's analytics. I should know like who the people are. So that's the kind of thing we try to fix. So with the clever tracking, the server, we create first-party cookies. Every time someone comes to the website, they get a unique user ID, like a string that's like unique to them. And then every tracking event, when they click the button, they fill in the form, they view a specific page, those events all have that user ID attached. And what that means is that someone might come to the website 3, 4, 5 times, and we don't know who they are. It's like a pseudonymous user ID. We've got all of these events, but we can't connect them to a person. But at the point they fill in the form, we then know who they are, and we can then look backwards and see all of the events associated with the user. We can see like the journey. Did they go via Facebook, then Meta, then some other platform? And then that's where we can start doing kind of quite cool things for clients and showing them what these kind of journeys look like. Just because I feel like if I don't do a bit of a demo, I'm not going to show anything. Oops. Okay. So interestingly, this is kind of what I'm talking about. So this is all demo data. I had to this is a platform that we have live for like an enterprise client. So this, they have 17,000 users a month, and there's kind of a bit more going on, but I've kind of simplified it a little bit. But this is the audiences. This is the people who come to the website. Every single person has their own unique ID. We might not know who they are at this point, but we can see all the different sessions. We can. Oops.
Quick question, Ben. That dashboard we're looking at now, is that something off the shelf?
No. So this is all. Yeah, this is all custom built. Is
you've built yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little bit rushed there. I think it's maybe a little bit confusing to look at directly. But the key thing for us with these clients is like the therapist, for example, a lead comes in. He wants to find out like what they've been looking at, what they're interested in, and he can then take the user ID that came through with the form, and he can just find out about that person. And I think if I skip on a little bit, I'll just give some more like specific examples. But we had a client who. Let's go to this one. We had like a client who's an enterprise client, and they're spending like a couple of $100,000 a year on like Google ads, Bing ads, and we could see by going through and doing this like user analysis that they had a huge number of clients who were clicking every day like a Bing ad. So every day, we were like, why are they wasting so much money on like these certain campaigns? And then we looked into it, and they had a huge number of users who, you can see day after day, they would log in the morning at 9 o'clock, click the ad, and then start using the tool. And this is something that was costing the customer, potentially hundreds of dollars per customer, because these clicks are like $20, $30 clicks. So it's just like one way that we can like lift the veil and kind of help customers achieve like really good results.
So they're using the ad link as a way to log into the site.
Yeah. So that's just like one example of you wouldn't think it's something that people do, but it can be a massive hole in your marketing budget, and you need a way to to get that kind of like objective viewpoint on it. And without like event level tracking and like user IDs and trying to really turn those like anonymous clicks that you're so used to seeing onto your website into like, who is that real person?
What was the solution
it's
there
hard to-
though, Ben? Did you stop running the ad, or how do you get around that?
Well, so for them, it's something we see with a lot of clients is that brand campaigns often deliver a lot of results, and people are like reticent to turn them off. But then they're like, "Why am I wasting tens of thousands of pounds paying for people who are googling my business anyway?" But the logic is that you're kind of like mopping up like kind of extra traffic. So what we recommend for clients is sometimes like an incrementality test where you turn off brand or you'd reduce it and you'd see if those leads would end up coming through another campaign, for example. Yeah, sorry, I think we got a bit, one sec, got a bit mixed up here. I was also kind of just going to talk about just how many crazy things I've self-hosted in the last year. It's in the same way that MCP diagram kind of goes like this. I do feel like even people who aren't traditional developers are able to kind of build kind of very impressive and functional things with AI. It's kind of interesting. I mean, like Cam thinks of it sometimes as something where I'm procrastinating from like client work and I'm like sitting there talking to my girlfriend Cursor, just like chatting away. Like, no, I'm working. I'm not getting distracted building another tool. But yeah, like an example of even this like presentation, for example, like you might have thought this is a really well put together and professional presentation, but this is another example where I start editing a presentation line by line. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So this whole presentation is essentially a React app that's Cursor helped me build, and there's high and low content versions of every single slide, and it's just amazing what you can do. But you do have to have some kind of executive function behind it and like know what you're trying to do. But yeah, in the last year, I've built. If anyone's heard of Webflow, you go to a website and you want to find out what tools they use. So I built like a self-hosted version of that, which I use a lot for clients, and I can automate the outreach and stuff by crawling websites and finding out, who are all of the WordPress sites in London. I self-host N8N. If anyone likes automation, would recommend. Cal.com, another one for scheduling. You can self-host it, £6-7 a month. I did I'll show you this one very quickly. I did an AI headshots tool, which I think is quite interesting. You can see me in, so this is hosted and we've got people using it. So this is the photos I fed in on the left, and then this is what we get out on the right. I did use one of these on my Hinge profile, and I was told that was very dishonest and creepy, even. And then, where's our last one? Yeah, some command line tools to help with image compression. I know Webflow's got a bit better of that, but back in the day, I used to get so sick of dragging images and compressing them one by one, so I built a tool to help me do that. We host our own CRM. The list goes on. And then like in a final, I had some thoughts on Webflow's response to AI, but I feel like I'm running out of time, as per Chris. What Chris is saying.
The music hasn't started, so we're lucky for the people. Yeah, so.
I was gonna say one of the last things I built when I was getting distracted was I built a page on our website where I was gonna invite people to go climbing with me. I really like bouldering, and I thought, why not make a page on my website where I can take people bouldering? We can have a meeting. No one's booked. So if anyone, people in the room, if you're watching online, people in the room are all avoiding eye contact. But if anyone online is based in London and would like to go running and climbing or running, we'll pay for it. And yeah,
nice. I know Anthony back here is into bouldering.
What level am I? V6, V7?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Hey.
No pressure. But yeah, there's a slightly erratic, a slightly hectic talk.
Thank you very much.
Procrastination.
Yeah, that was really impressive. We do have a few minutes. So the music hasn't started, so we can have some questions. Just while maybe Jimmy, you can plug your machine back in while we do this. So the dashboard that you showed earlier with the ad tracking that you built yourself.
Yeah.
I guess there are third-party platforms like HubSpot and things like that that can do similar things.
It's interesting that example there. I didn't really get to go into too much detail, but this company, they're quite enterprise. They use HubSpot.
Yeah.
They
And
use
this as well.
Salesforce. They use Clay. They use the issue sometimes with these enterprise clients is they have so many CRMs that there's no source of truth. So actually, that demo every day syncs their entire HubSpot audience into the tool. And then instead of just providing like the first touch and the last touch, which is again something that HubSpot kind of only focuses on the data side, we can have every step in between.
Yeah,
So
nice.
it's the difference
Ties it
between
together.
it's the difference between saying like, oh, this person had 2 clicks on Bing versus there's like 100 and you've just missed the 98 in the middle.
Yeah,
So,
nice. Any more questions? Yeah, a few. Oh, where are we going to go? Down the back.
Why would you rebuild cow.com when it's free?
No, sorry, I didn't rebuild it. I self-hosted cow.com. Is what I was saying. Sorry, I made a little difference there. Some of the tools I built completely from scratch, and some things I've been getting more into like self-hosting, open source stuff.
Yeah. Are you able to monitor all the API documentation and auto-update all these tools?
Yes, I had a whole slide about our own Dociosaurus. Is this too?
Oh, this one's gone off.
Should I hold it? It's fallen off. I had a whole slide. I've got if anyone's heard of Dociosaurus, it's an open source React-based project that's like founded by Meta, and they maintain it. And if you're looking to build like a free documentation site, you can host a Dociosaurus project in Cloudflare Pages. You can install Algolia MCP server for free. So we've got this really amazing documentation setup where we can use Cursor. It can read all of our docs, and then we can regenerate pages. And I have one for every single project.
Good stuff. Fun. Any more questions? Yeah.
How does all the tracking work with the GDPR? I think you mentioned it briefly, but
We just gloss over GDPR.
Okay.
No, the cookie consent management platform. So the termly part of that ensures that only pixels and bits of code fire when the consent is given. Equally, when you have clients who are maybe not just based in the UK, you can kind of dynamically show different cookie banners based on where people are in the world. So the one we have, for example, if you're based in the US, you get everything because there's less tracking laws. If you're based in the UK, you'll get a different button saying accept, reject. So we kind of tackle it by mostly adhering to GDPR on the large part. Although I find it super interesting because it's another one where 5 or 6 years, 7 years later, some huge businesses are still blatantly breaking GDPR, pre-ticked checkboxes, all that kind of stuff, and they never get penalized. So it's,
We're out of time with that, so thank you very much, Ben. Here's your prize.